Hello, this is Jim Tolles. I'm a spiritual teacher and I blog regularly at spiritualawakeningprocess.com. And today's topic is to go deeper than happiness. Most of humans' goals, the things that we drive for, really are towards feeling good, towards feeling happy. And it makes sense to most of us that this is what we want. I mean, who wants to feel bad? That's not really something that we enjoy, and it's usually only something that we hope to pass through on the way to feeling good again. But the human experience inherently embraces suffering as well as joy and happiness. And in this video, I really want you to think of happiness as our preference, that we prefer to feel happy, and we have a set of ideas about what happiness is and when we should feel it. And so all those ideas become their own traps, because if we're only going to be happy when we're eating apple pie, then when we're not eating apple pie, we're not. And this gets applied in so many different ways. People choose to be happy, right? There's a lot of choice that goes along with happiness. We don't even realize is going on internally from a whole bunch of unconscious decisions. And so if we're in a job, we choose to be happy. And if we're not in a job, we choose to be not. Or sometimes the reverse. Or there's certain durations where it's okay to be happy for a little while when you're not in a job, but then you should start to worry, right? You know, and all these decisions go on constantly and are constantly changing our emotional state. So our emotional state becomes this never-ending sea of change. And in many respects, this is more or less kind of how it is anyway. Although as we do our work and we let go of more and more of our beliefs, then the whole seeking happiness actually goes away more and more. And in this way, we start to go deeper than happiness. And it's pretty obvious that for most people that what we're going towards is towards love. But love isn't just preferring how life currently is. Love is an acceptance, a pure acceptance of what's in front of us. Whether we're looking at a gang fight, or we're sitting here by ourselves meditating, or we're talking to a friend, or we're getting fired, right? All of these different things are just new experiences that are arising in that moment, and we learn to practice being in love with them. Because if we stay stuck in the ego's mindset, then we're just going to be flung about on all of our emotions. We're scared watching the gang fight as opposed to being clear enough to know what to do in that situation. We're angry at the boss for dumping or firing us, I should say. It's kind of like another form of being dumped, right? You know, in relationships, you're being fired from that relationship as a certain. It's just another way of relationships being, you know, a time of change and transition and separation. And of course, most of our egos are set up to think, well, I shouldn't want this. Therefore, if it's happening, I should be unhappy. And this is going on all the time. And getting to the roots of some of these things are really, really important to start to understand that you are not controlling your emotions. You've already been told how you're supposed to feel in a whole bunch of different situations. And actually, as you expand and grow more and more, you realize that there are a lot of things that you don't know how to respond to. And this is actually a good thing when you step outside what your program knows how to categorize and judge, because there's constant judgment that's going along with happiness, and this creates more and more suffering. A lot of times people don't know if they should be happy in a situation because we're stepping outside those judgments, and this is a good thing to go slowly, to breathe into, and just allow yourself to be with it and not worry about how you should feel about a given situation. This happens a lot in my work because there's such a profound connection. Most people aren't used to a profound connection with a spiritual teacher such as myself, so I say to my students, go slowly. Let yourself sink into it. And it's not about categorizing the relationship in any specific way, it's just allowing the arising of what it is, what that intensity is. Because if we get too caught up in our ego thoughts again, some people will prefer this type of intensity, others will not, and will want to run away from it, and that may not be correct for either person. You know, somebody who prefers it may be missing the deeper intuitive understanding that they don't need to work with me, and somebody who's scared of it may be missing the deeper intuitive meaning that they should. And that's just going to be very much something that you have to get to on your own, and love is that doorway, that profound acceptance. There's intensity here. And that's it, not labeling it any further as this is good or this is bad. I should be scared of it, I should like it. And this is what I mean by going deeper than happiness. You have to go beyond your preferences beyond what the ego thinks you want, what you've been taught to want, and really have to continue to understand that you're not choosing most of your emotions. You really have been taught by society and in many regards by biology. We have this rush of fear if somebody is startled. For most people, right? If I drop a heavy book and make a huge sound, people go right, and so that's sort of that involuntary choice that biology is making to gather all of this energy to potentially run away from or deal with the scary unknown noise. And we do deal with our biology, I believe, the deeper we drop into spaces of acceptance and love and open ourselves, because those are decisions that we don't need made for us anymore. In the past, in the evolutionary chain of events, we didn't have the type of mindset and consciousness that we could to analyze a particular attack or something or sounds in the way that we do now. When we were all little turtles, we just needed that instinctual brain to tell us what to do. I don't need that driving the show anymore. We need to really, in an interesting way, grow up and evolve. And so as we drop deeper and deeper into ourselves, into the space of loving acceptance, we start to really see how we work. And happiness is just one of the many things that we start to really understand in a deeper way, as well as our fears and our angers and all those things. But I'm making this video because it's such a tendency that if we start to get what we want, we're going to have a tendency to stay there. Pain is an amazing motivator. And that's why it's one of the greatest spiritual teachers in the world right now, because humanity, in many respects, just wants to stay where it is. And so pain comes to say, no, this is actually hurting you. This is not allowing you to grow and to change and to be in integrity. And it doesn't mean that all pain is good. That's not what I'm saying. And there's certainly plenty of ways that humanity is causing suffering to itself and others and other creatures and stuff like that that is completely out of integrity. That's not the teaching I'm talking about. But there's enough pain that arises inside of you, the pain of your beliefs that you want life to be different than it is, that can keep you motivated, because with that motivation, you can start to look at more and more of that inner structure of the ego that's defining and containing your life. And so when happiness comes, it can be this strange trap too. And we need to go beyond it to say, okay, here is this good experience. We're enjoying it right now, and that's fine. It's not wrong. Doesn't mean you need to go run to the next difficult thing you can find. That too is an ego trap. But rather understanding that this is still a choice, and that there are deeper parts of you that are already witnessing this arising and knowing that it's going to pass. There is a strong tendency to start to rebuild after any big shift in our life, whether you've had a spiritual awakening or not, and to try and contain life once again into like, this is the structure, this is what I want, this was what makes me feel good, and all these types of things again. And life is so much more dynamic than that. It's constantly changing. And embracing that change is really the only sane thing we can do. And that's also part of going deeper than happiness, because I think there's a static quality that can arise in human happiness. And the deeper divine love, that does not exist, because it embraces both stability and solidity, as well as this effervescent, changing, ephemeral life that we live in. And so you take a few more deep breaths to let go from happiness. Say, here's this horizon. And sometimes what happens in that letting go is a more profound joy arises up out of there. But even this should not be held on to. Just to allow it to enjoy that joy and to drop deeper into these spaces inside you that are open to all of life, to all of love, to pain and suffering, that can allow that to come and go. There are going to be sunny days in people's lives, and there are going to be rainy days in people's lives. And the blue sky allows all of that weather to come through. And it's always there, no matter how covered up it may be. And so I encourage you to go deeper than happiness, move towards love, and continue to let go of all preference over yourself and your life. And in that space, see what arises. Once again, my name is Jim Tolles. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've got plenty more here, so feel free to subscribe if you enjoy them. And you can always find me on my blog at spiritualawakeningprocess.com. Have a beautiful day.